Oh guys, Samravadis, oh guys, Samravadis, oh guys, Samravadis, oh guys, Shigun Shiganga. So it's always a very special festival, Govardhan Puja, namely we are New Govardhan. And at presiding deities, Radha Govardhan Dali. Govardhan Dali means one who's lifting, left hand, lifting Govardhan Hill. And Krishna and Balaram, we have Krishna lifting little finger. And of course at their feet is a Govardhan Shila, that large rock with the happy face on it. That's a rock from Govardhan Hill. So it's very easy to remember this Leela, Govardhan Puja. So I'd like to start with if I can get this to work. So this is a verse by Raghunath Das Goswami. It's verse 1 of the 10 prayers for residents at Sri Govardhan. So Sri Govardhan Vasha Pratana Dashakam. So of course Raghunath Das Goswami, he was one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, but he was a long-term resident at Radha Kund, and every day he would circumambulate Govardhan Hill, and until he'd become very old, and he had arthritis, and it was a struggle. So Lord Chaitanya gave him a small Govardhan Shila, and he says, now you just walk around this Shila, that's enough. So I actually have one godbrother living in Radha Kund, and every day he does Govardhan Prikrama twice, once in the morning and once in the evening. So how far around is Govardhan Prikrama? I read 23, so 23, 26. So that means he's walking, a long way every day. But that's his main sadhana. He had the blessings of his Guru Maharaj to do like that. So I'm not 100% sure on the meter for this verse, but anyway. Nijapati Buddha Tanda Chatra Bhavan Prapadye Pratihata Amara Drista Danda Devandragava Atula Pitula Shaila Shrina Bupa Priyamani Janikata Nivasham Dehi Govardhan Twam. Somebody else. So the translation, perhaps we can speak all together. O Govardhan, you became the umbrella which is held by the arm of your own Lord Krishna. In this way, Sri Krishna Divnishtvindra, the king of the demigods, who was intoxicated by great pride, you are the incomparable king of all the big mountains. Please allow me to live close by you. So we said it was 10 verses. So the refrain on this is Nija Nikata Nivasham Dehi Govardhan Twam, meaning Raghunath Dasa's prayer is, please allow me to live close by you. For anybody who's done, thanks. Let's hang on here. Oh, thank you. Thanks, sir. Anybody who's done Govardhan Parikrama? Who's done Govardhan Parikrama here? So quite a few. So we see that sometimes devotees, pilgrims, they build like a little house on the side of Govardhan Hill. So that's representative of the desire that one day we can live by Govardhan Hill. So that's like, here's my little house, one day I can live here. So this is Raghunath Dasa's plea that please allow me to live close by you. And indeed we do know that when Krishna, the time for Krishna to descend 5,000 years ago, he spoke to Radha and said, Radharani, I'm going down to Bharatvarsha. You are coming? And she said, only on 2 conditions. One, that Jamuna comes with us, and that Govardhan comes with us. So Krishna agreed to that. So we have the Jamuna and we have Govardhan. But of course, originally Govardhan Hill was much bigger, longer and bigger. So at one stage, Govardhan was cursed that every day he would sink the size of one mustard seed. So slowly he's disappearing from our sight. So it's said that as Kali Yuga progresses, Govardhan Hill will disappear completely. Anyway, so that's Raghunath Dasa's prayer. So we're just going to show a few slides and just make some comments as we go. So, for those who are familiar with Krishna book, in chapter 23 was the story of Krishna delivers the wives of the Yajnik Brahmanas. So the Yajnik Brahmanas were doing their puja, and Krishna and Balaram and all their friends were in the forest, and Krishna told some of his friends to go to the Yajnik Brahmanas and ask for some food. Some of the prasad from but the Yajnik Brahmanas, they disregarded them, ignored them completely. So eventually he sent his friends to see the wives of the Brahmanas, and the wives immediately picked up all the prasad and brought it to Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys. And in this way, Krishna blessed them in so many ways. But after the Yajnik Brahmanas were cursing themselves that they were so absorbed in their pujas and their mudras, and they couldn't understand that actually the whole goal of any yajna is to please Krishna. And Krishna was personally there, and they just ignored him. So in that way, they were cursing themselves. So just after that event, Krishna noticed that his father, Nanda Maharaj, and all the cowherd men, they were organising another yajna. And so Krishna, he walked over to his father. And So Krishna there in front of his father and all the cowherd men and all the ingredients for the yajna. So this is coming from Krishna book chapter 24 onwards, so I'm just sort of paraphrasing here a little, but Krishna asked, "My dear father, what is this arrangement going on for a great sacrifice? I am very eager to know this procedure and the purpose of this sacrifice." So Nanda Maharaj thinking, he's just my little son, how will he understand all the intricacies of this sacrifice? How do you explain? It's like a little boy, asking his father how a big machine or something complicated works. How do you explain that to little son? And so, but, if you don't answer, he's tugging on your clothes. Baba, Baba, please ask me. Young boys, young children, they have so many questions. So anyway, eventually Maharaj Nanda replied that this ceremonial performance is more or less traditional because rainfall is due to the mercy of King Indra, the king of heaven, and because water is so important for our living, we must show some gratitude to the control of this rainfall because, of course, Nanda Maharaj, he's the king of the Vaishyas, and everything they do depends on rain, maintaining the cows and agriculture, etc. Everything, the rain is required. So therefore, this traditional yajna they were doing year after year to please Indra, so he would keep supplying the rain. So Prabhupada comments that, that a devotee of Krishna who simply engages in Krishna service is freed from all other obligations. A devotee doesn't have to perform any of the devotional service. A devotee doesn't have to perform any of their other ritualistic functions enjoined in the Vedas. One does not develop devotional service or love of God by performing all these different Vedic ritualistic ceremonies or worshipping the demigods. So this is on the level of what we call karma kanda, that one is trying to please the demigods so that they can, in the next life, they can go over to the heavenly planets. So enjoying this life and then enjoying the heavenly planets in the next by worshipping demigods. So Bhagavad Gita 7:23, Krishna, he says that men of small intelligence worship the demigods and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees reach my supreme abode. So Prabhupada comments that the rewards given by the demigods are temporary because any material facility must act in connection with the temporary body. Whatever material facility one gets, whether by modern scientific methods or by deriving benedictions from the demigods, will be finished with the body, but spiritual advancement will never be finished. So he continues that in order to stop all such activities by his devotees, Krishna wanted to firmly establish exclusive devotional service during his presence in Vrindavan. So he wasn't happy that his dear devotees, the Brajabasis and his father, they were engaged in demigod worship. So he wanted to stop that and emphasize that only thing is required is exclusive devotional service to Krishna. At the same time, he understood that Indra was getting a little bit proud. He's the king of heaven, and every year a big puja, major sacrifice is being organised, and he's getting a little bit proud, thinking, actually, I'm the supreme. So Krishna doesn't like to see his devotees to become proud. So, of course, he's the supreme person. He could have just sat in on the shoulder, hey, just, don't be so puffed up. But Krishna doesn't do like that. He does something wonderful to teach the lesson to Indra, but also like his mission of delivering the devotees, annihilating the miscreants. So pleasing the devotees, he arranges this whole Leela in a wonderful, wonderful way. And we see that 5,000 years later, we're still celebrating this wonderful event. So Krishna then spoke to make the heavenly king Indra very angry. He suggested to Nanda Maharaj and the cowherd men that they forego the sacrifice because there is no need to worship the demigods, because everything is granted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, King Indra was certainly a devotee, he wasn't a demon, but because he was puffed up, Krishna wanted to teach him a lesson. So first he made Indra angry by stopping the Indra Puja. So to do this, Krishna, he began to speak the atheistic philosophy of karma mamamsa, which is quite interesting. That the karma mamamsa philosophy holds that if one acts according to their duty, automatically everything will come. And even if there is a god or a demigod, they can only act if we are performing our duty. Otherwise, they're powerless. This is basically so it's not that Krishna was philosophy understanding, but he was trying to convince his the cowherd men, and also to make Krishna, to make Indra angry. In other words, reducing his position or negating his position altogether. So Prabhupada presents that the karma mamamsa theory holds that the world is going on without the supreme direction of God. The idea is that even if there is a God who gives man the results of his fruitive activities, there is no need to worship him, because unless man works, he cannot bestow any good result. He put forward the argument that if one works nicely, the good result will come according to one's past karma. So Krishna, he says that that our specific relationship, it's just with Govardhan Hill and Vrindavan Forest and nothing more. I therefore request you, my dear Father, to begin a sacrifice using the paraphernalia that you already have for the Indra Yagna, and immediately engage them to satisfy Govardhan Hill and the local brahmanas and the cows, and let us have nothing to do with this Indra. So first of all, Maharaj Nanda said, okay, just to please his son, okay, we'll do the Indra Yagna and then we'll do this Govardhan Puja afterwards. But Krishna said, no, there's no time. Look, quickly. So he just kept on his father, and eventually his father gave up. Maharaj Nanda finally agreed and then asked, okay, so how do we do this Govardhan worship? So Krishna, he explained that prepare very nice foods of all descriptions from the grain and ghee collected for the yagna. Prepare rice, dal, then halava, pakora, puri, and all kinds of milk preparations such as sweet rice, rubbery, sweet balls, sandesh, rasgula, and laddu, and invite the learned brahmanas who can chant the Vedic hymns and offer oblations to the fire. The brahmanas should be given all kinds of grains in charity, and then decorate the cows and feed them well. After performing this, give money in charity to the brahmanas. Offer nice grass. After nice grasses have been given to the cows, the sacrifice known as Govardhan Puja may immediately begin. This sacrifice will very much satisfy me. So Krishna is always concerned in giving respect to the brahmanas, the head of society, and also the cows. So whenever we're offering foodstuffs to the deities, this mantra we're chanting Namo Brahmana Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Jagaridaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. That my Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the brahmanas, and you are the well-wisher of the entire human society and the world. So it's a verse from the Vishnu Purana. So this is one of Krishna's main... I'm not sure that's down properly. Must be. So this is one of the main activities of Krishna, that to keep Vedic culture intact, and particularly within agrarian village that he appeared in, that always makes sure the brahmanas and the cows are well looked after. So Prabhupada comments that Lord Krishna said that Govardhan Puja is as good as worship of him, and it's sometimes known as Anakuta. In all the temples of Krishna, huge quantities of food are prepared in this ceremony and are very sumptuously distributed to the general population. So particularly in big temples, you'll see this sort of spread that there's hundreds, sometimes thousands of preparations being offered to Govardhan Hill. So the honest and simple cowherd men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, accepted Krishna's proposal and executed in detail all he advised. They performed Govardhan Puja and circumambulated the hill. They assembled together, decorated the cows, gave them grass. Keeping the cows in front, they began to circumambulate Govardhan Hill. And the cowherd girls, the gopis, dressed themselves very luxuriantly. So, so Govardhan Puja, we're particularly fortunate. We have lots of cows. So sometimes the horns are painted, or you get paint on your hand and you put handprints on the cows and put garlands. So many different ways you can decorate the cows, and then feed them with all sorts of nice foodstuffs. So in this way, the cowherd men headed by Nanda Maharaj, they followed Krishna's instructions to engage in Govardhan Puja. So when everything was complete, Krishna assumed a great transcendental form and declared to the inhabitants of Vrindavan that he himself is Govardhan Hill, in order to convince the devotees that Govardhan Hill and himself are identical. Then Krishna began to eat all the food offered there, and he was calling out, "Aniyor, Aniyor," which means, "Give me more, give me more." So in his hands, he was just scooping up all the foodstuffs into his mouth and give me more, give me more. And every now and then he would look up toward Indra and just smile, making fun of Indra, just teasing him. So Krishna also declared that one who neglects the worship of Govardhan Puja will not be happy. There are many snakes on Govardhan Hill, and persons neglecting the prescribed duty of Govardhan Puja will be bitten by the snakes and killed. So if you saw the post on the farm chat, there was a big brown snake in the temple room yesterday. So, but nobody was killed. So if we worship Govardhan Hill, and the lifter of Govardhan Hill will be protected. So while this is all going on, Indra was becoming very, very angry. So what did he do? He called his number one cloud. What's the number one cloud called? Samvartika cloud. So at the time of dissolution of the universe, this cloud is called to inundate the whole universe. So Indra was so angry. You know, it's like if a soldier who works in the nuclear base, you know, his wife forgets to kiss him goodbye in the morning. He just wants to go and let off a nuclear bomb to destroy everybody. You know, so it's like that. So Indra, he's been neglected because the puja's not there, so he just wants to inundate everything. It's like the nuclear explosion of storms. So he calls some Samvartika cloud to inundate the whole area with an extensive flood. So, in illusion, Indra thought himself to be the all-powerful Supreme Personality. So Indra said, "Just see the impudence of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. They are simply inhabitants of the forest, but being infatuated with their little friend Krishna, who is nothing but an ordinary human being, they have dared to defy the demigods. So you can see he just caught up, puffed up in his position. So this is what Krishna wanted to correct. So he's just seeing this little talkative boy. He's telling, the cowherd men, no, forget Indra, just worship Govardhan Hill. So these Govardhan men in Vrindavan have neglected my authority on the advice of this talkative boy who is known as Krishna. He is nothing but a child, and by believing this child, they have enraged me. King Indra ordered the Samvartika and companion clouds to go to Vrindavan. You go ahead, and I shall, because actually initially Samvartika, they were very afraid to come. It's not the time of dissolution, but Indra is telling us to, pour down our water. But Indra said, no, you go, and I will go also, riding on my elephant, Ayavata, accompanied by great storms, and I shall apply all my strength to punish the inhabitants of Vrindavan. By pouring water as thick as pillars without cessation, the clouds gradually filled all the lands in Vrindavan with water. So, sometimes when it's a very heavy shower and, you might have to pull off on the side of the road and you can't even see in front of you. The water's so thick. So that's like, you could probably think that this Samvartika is pouring water so thick that you can't even see in front of you. So it wasn't just water, it was also very strong winds and also ice, like hail was coming. So it was just devastating for the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So unable to find any other source of safety, the Vrindavan residents all approached Krishna to take shelter at his lotus feet. Dear Krishna, they prayed, you are all-powerful and you are very affectionate to your devotees. Now please protect us, who have been much harassed by this angry Indra. Prabhupada comments that Krishna says he will give protection to his pure devotees who are completely dependent on his mercy, and with whom I have taken completely under my protection. So Lord Krishna immediately picked up Govardhan Hill with one hand, exactly as a child picks up a mushroom from the ground. Being assured by Lord Krishna, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan entered beneath the great hill along with their property and animals, and they all appeared to be very safe. The inhabitants of Vrindavan and their animals remain there for 1 week without being disturbed by hunger, thirst, or any other discomforts. They were simply astonished to see how Krishna was holding up the mountain with his little finger of his left hand. So, of course, it wasn't just protecting the resident Vrindavan from the farm. It was also, like the gopis, for instance, he wanted to reciprocate with their loving sentiments towards them. And normally, just due to etiquette, it's not that Krishna and the gopis could mingle freely, because we know sometimes they'd go to the forest at night time, but generally during the day, when he's off to herding the cows, the gopis just might have some sidelong glances at Krishna as he goes, and when he comes back in the afternoon, there's some sidelong glances there, but they're not able to mingle freely, young boys and girls in Vedic culture. But at this arrangement, all the residents of Vrindavan, including the gopis, 7 days, they could just stare at Krishna and drink in his beauty without any hindrance at all. So the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the gopis, the cows, they didn't experience any tiredness, any hunger, any thirst. Just for 7 days, they could just stare at Krishna's beauty, being absorbed in his transcendental form. So seeing the extraordinary mystic power of Krishna, Indra, the king of heaven, was thunderstruck, having failed in his determination. And he went back to the heavenly realm, accompanied by the clouds. when the sky became completely cleared of all clouds and there was sunrise again, the strong wind stopped. At that time, Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, now known as Govardhan Hill, Govardhan, said, "Now you are safe and you may all go home. The inundation has gone down along with the swelling waters of the river." And then Lord Krishna, he very slowly replaced Govardhan Hill in exactly the same position as it had been before. So, of course, you get angry, but after a while that anger dissipates. So Indra, he's back in heaven and he starts to contemplate, oh my God, what did I do? Due to illusion, I thought this young boy was just a talkative boy, wanted to stop my worship, but actually by this unparalleled feat, I can understand he's the Supreme Person, and my God, what will happen to me now? So he be very, conscious of that offence. So after some time, King Indra, he came down from the heavenly planets with his elephant, also accompanied by a Sarabi cow, and appeared before Krishna. So Indra, the king of heaven, had become conscious of his offence before Krishna. Therefore, he stealthily appeared before him in a secluded place. He immediately fell down at the lotus feet of Krishna and began to offer many prayers of forgiveness. And his elephant Airavata gave him Abhishek, waters from the Jamuna. So in this way, he placated himself towards Krishna, and Krishna was happy. And so, so many things were accomplished by Krishna in this Leela. He curbed the pride of Indra, and he fulfilled his promise that he always gives protection to those who are surrendered to him. And he enabled all the residents of Vrindavan just to have 24/7 darshan of him while he was standing there holding Govardhan Hill. So in so many ways, he accomplished many things and everybody was ultimately satisfied. So that's the end of that presentation. If anybody has any questions or comments? Yes.
Was Indra aware before his pastime that Krishna was the Supreme Person and he forgot because of his pride?
Yes. Yeah, basically. Yeah. I mean, the demigods, they're all devotees. They know Krishna is the Supreme. Like Brahma also. He saw this talkative little boy in the forest and he thought, how can this be the Supreme Person? So he decided to do a trick, and he stole all the cowherd boys. So the same illusion, Brahma Mohan, he come under illusion, thinking that, well, I'm an important person and, I'm more important than this talkative little boy. So ultimately the demigods know that Krishna is supreme, but sometimes out of pride they get illusioned and they want to, show their imaginary position that actually I'm the king of heaven. Who does he think he is, stopping my worship like that? So yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
Some of us were fortunate enough to be here in November 1977 for the first Govardhan Puja. Just regarding your comment about snakes. And the festival was quite well advertised. A lot of people did actually come from around about. Even we put posters up all the way up to Cairns. And there was one hippie boy who came from the Minbin. And when the time came for worshipping Govardhan Hill, he said, I'm not into rituals, man. I'm going for a walk. So we said, be careful, the snakes are really out and about right now. Well, he got bit. He didn't die, but he did have to take himself to Moolumba Hospital and get anti-venom. So,
Anybody else? Yeah, there was also a story. I think you mentioned it was the press was here. I can't remember who was there. one of the devotees was saying about it always right, Chittahari. Maybe just recite that story.
Well, the one I remember it was actually a beautiful day for Govardhan Puja. It was blue sky, hot. And the press came, and Chittahari was slightly media coordinator in those days. And he was explaining a little bit about the festival to the press. And he said it always rains on Govardhan Puja. And the reporters looked up, there wasn't a cloud in the sky. And then all of a sudden, one big, wasn't a summer type of cloud, but one cloud, big grey rain cloud, just popped up from over the back of Mount Morning, and there was a beautiful celestial Divya Shnana, sun shower. And the reporter went, oh, writing all this down. That's all I can remember.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else was here. I think you're in other places.
Yeah, it seems there was a lot of more advertising and PR going back in these days. I don't know. We've neglected it these days. I don't know.
Well, I guess we've got a big congregation.
Yeah, okay.
It spreads. In those days it was pioneering.
Yeah, to go up to Cairns to put up posters, that's pretty enthusiastic.
Well, we were planning, we were going up there anyway to distribute books, fundraise, and we were given a bunch of these posters, and we put them up in health food stores and on notice boards wherever we could. And it was called the Festival of the Cow. So it was very, very sad. Big tent. Marquee, big white tent, I can remember. It was just the White House, which is no longer white. And there was none of this, no roads. It was just another ramshackle building, rump shard over the back. Yeah, the cow. It was very. But people came and actually, people joined, people stayed.
Yeah, I have heard the festival, sometimes it's been called Mystic Mountain Festival also. Anybody else? Any comments, questions? Like to share anything? All right, thank you very much. Giri Govardhan Ki Jai.